Yo, what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Thursday, October 26th of 2023. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I appreciate your viewership, your subscription. If you aren't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe because I do daily astrology content as well as other forms of content. Forgive me if you guys can hear stuff in the background. It sounds like there's some workers outside blowing leaves. It is fall time, so that's definitely some very Seven of Pentacles kind of energy. Someone should remake the tarot, and instead of it having the guy raking leaves, just showing someone like blowing leaves for the Seven of Pentacles. In any event, so let's go ahead and hop into the astrology for today. Kind of a continuation off of yesterday. Whenever you get days where there's not a lot of aspects that are going on, not exact things that are happening, but energies are building, or the moon is making aspects. Like I said, it gives us an opportunity to sort of take stock of where things are. And it's kind of interesting too, because whenever you get days where not a whole lot is happening, and we almost want things to happen, almost like we want the shoe to drop, it's like it almost feels a little boring, mundane. It almost feels like we almost sort of get angsty and apprehensive, and we want to like almost force the issue and stuff. I think that is the danger of days like today, where especially when things seem very, very crazy right now. Pluto at the end of Capricorn, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, right? Aries on the North Node, in between eclipses, Uranus at 21 degrees, the degree where it was at with World War II. There's a lot of things that are happening. But when you get a day where there aren't really exact aspects outside of whatever the moon is doing, and of course the moon moves fast, it's a day where we may unintentionally or intentionally push the envelope on things that probably doesn't necessarily need to be pushed. We don't necessarily need to send that email, send that envelope, tie it to the carrier pigeon and send that off. You know what I'm saying? This is a day where we kind of want to just kind of chill, take stock, be the observer, of this reality and stuff, and get involved where we can get involved in the areas that we can actually control, that we can do something about, not necessarily worrying about all of the external stuff, the things that we can't really control, but focusing on those aspects that we can control, that we do have a direct impact on. That's really what's most important here. We have to consider this, guys, that Saturn is moving very slow. And in fact, I'll go ahead and just show you guys too. I will stop sharing that screen, and then I will share my other screen here so you guys can see just how slow Saturn is actually moving. So if we look at this one over here, right? So obviously you can see the moon moves the fastest, obviously. The sun's moving. It's moving fast now, but it's moving a little less than a degree a day. Mercury is moving fast. It's moving 1.5 degrees a day. Venus is moving 1 degree a day. Mars is moving about 41 minutes a day, right? Now, if we look at the retrograde planets, you can see that Saturn is moving the slowest out of all the retrograde planets, right? Jupiter is 7 minutes. Uranus is 2. Neptune is 1 minute. Saturn is 0054. Saturn is moving very slow, like slow. You gotta remember, Saturn, of course, does in many ways deal with governments and organizations and large corporations and big groups, and it's in Pisces, which is all, and that's the thing, it's in Pisces, so it's watery energy. So trying to navigate these waters is different. You gotta remember, Saturn is like a ship as well, right? It's the captain of a ship, and it's 0 degrees, moving very, very slow in Pisces. So it's like there's not a lot happening. And I think the apprehension that comes from this is that some people may feel like it's luring them into a false sense of security, right? You know what I mean? So it's like it's like a ship trying to navigate through, I guess you could say, a swamp, or maybe trying to navigate through, a very narrow passage, and it has to move slowly, because if it doesn't, then it'll bang up on the edges and cause a hole in the ship. And so that's the thing about this. It's almost like it's like some people almost want the storm. And it's almost sort of like, oh, why aren't these things happening? You know, why isn't there any movement when it comes to these larger geopolitical, events and situations? Why does it feel like things have stalled? It's because Saturn is moving super, 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 super fucking slow. Now, it is going to be the next planet that comes direct, but we still have some time before that. It's not going to happen just yet. It's not going to happen this week. So, if you're wondering why it feels like things are kind of moving slow, and this, like I said, this could be, as above, so below, on the larger scale, on the smaller scale. So if you feel like things are kind of moving slow in your personal life when it comes to these sort of things, that is why. That is why. And this is great. This is actually giving us an opportunity to, develop, our ability to navigate this plane of existence. This is like I'm telling you, Doug, this is like a blessing in disguise, where God is giving us a great opportunity to learn how to navigate. And I think in many ways we have to even learn, it's like maybe we have to learn how this ship even works in the first place, right? This is kind of almost getting back to basics, right? Learning how to actually take care of the ship. Maybe this is us having some maintenance on the ship as well. The ship of our lives, maybe our bodies, spirituality, how we navigate this world. It's giving us this great opportunity to do a sort of maintenance check, an overall maintenance check, to make sure that we are moving in the right direction, making sure that we don't just do things so rashly, and we can actually kind of think through things a bit too. And remember, this is 0 degrees, so there's infinite potential here. I think so. Like Saturn and Neptune, meeting here in Pisces, this isn't going to happen again in our lifetimes, right? So we have a very rare moment here to really work out a lot of this Piscean energy. I think these outer planets, and Saturn's not really an outer planet, mind you, it's transpersonal, but still, it's like next time the Saturn comes into Pisces, Neptune won't be there. And it's not going to be there again until our lifetime, right? So that's the thing that we have to consider about these kind of energies. Whenever there's a day where there's not really a whole lot going on, you kind of want to look at some of these other planets to see, what they're doing. Are they moving a little bit slower? Is there an energy that's building up to it per se? But I want to kind of bring your attention to this, because I think it's very important to consider that since we are working out these energies, and this is going to be the last time that we see a Saturn at 0 degrees retrograde with Neptune here, also in Pisces, right? So, and like I said, 0 is like an infinite potential kind of energy, especially in Pisces. Think of the timelines that are going to be born as a result of this transit once Saturn finally comes forward and clicks to that 1 degree, right? So this is a great opportunity right now to really, ask God, what is it that you want? What is it that you appreciate? What is it that you cherish? Like seriously, like ask God, what do you want? This is actually a time for us to kind of, in many ways, kind of put our wishes out there to the universe. But we have to understand that these wishes aren't just going to be answered without us putting some sort of energy or action into this, right? It's not going to be like an automatic thing. We can't just sit in our hands and expect it to come. This is Saturn, so it's going to require some hard work. But this does give us this opportunity to really ask ourselves, what is your dream? How big is your dream, right? And to seriously ask for it and get detailed about it. I think Saturn moving this slow is wanting us to pay attention to the details too, right? Remember, Pisces isn't necessarily super detail oriented. That's Virgo, right? But Saturn is here, and Saturn appreciates details, right? it can appreciate the details, right? So that's the thing about this. Even though it's funny too, because Saturn can appreciate the details, but at the same time, it can't get too bogged down on details. That's why it hires people to take care of those things for it. It has to make the big decisions to right the ship, to drive the company, drive what the organization, whatever it is, right? But Saturn also understands and appreciates the value of those details. So this is a moment where we have to really ask ourselves, what it is that we want. What is our dream? What do we want to manifest, right? And like I said, because this is zero, it's infinite potential here. It's going to be a lot of different timelines that are born of this. They're going to split off and stuff, and then we'll see, who is really about it, if you will. Who is really about it. Anyways, let's get back to the chart. Just wanted to show you guys that. But that's the thing about today is that, we're going to see the moon essentially just going to be making quincunxes over to the Scorpio energy. It's going to quincunx the sun, and then it's going to quincunx over to Mercury, right, around 627. And then come the end of the day, it's going to actually quincunx over to Mars. So we're going to get 3 awkward stares from across the room. That moon in Aries, of course, can definitely have us feeling a little bit more impulsive, whatever. When the emotions come up, you may want to just act on these emotions too. But then you have the quincunxing energy, the awkward shit from across the room, where it's like, are you sure you want to do that? You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, especially with the sun here. It's like it's going to sort of like bring about some vitality, some energy here too, obviously, and wanting us to kind of spark off something. It's like, well, okay, it's at 3 degrees, so let's look at that. That quincunx happens at 3 degrees of Scorpio. Okay, maybe something comes up around that time. Are you sure that you want to? Do you believe in that vision? Do you believe that, do you believe in that transformation? If you take this is how it's going to transform your character. Do you believe in that? Okay, well, and then the sun's going to sort of like reveal to you, almost sort of give you like a precursor to what that's going to look like, right? Mercury, 7 degrees. Okay. Do you, like, when it comes to that transformation and stuff like that, do you believe it has a spiritual purpose? Do you believe that there's a deeper spiritual meaning there, right? And is that the communication that's going on there? Are you opening up that communication with the divine on how to transform, right? And is it going to lead you to a place where you can become like greater in your spirituality and kind of letting go, letting God, allowing and like just opening up that channel and stuff like that? Do you believe that you have that connection? You don't need to go to anyone else, right, to establish that connection, right? So you can transform. And then, of course, the Mars energy, 10 degrees, right? This is about, okay, now you're getting to the point where it's a manifestation, right? So it's like you have the 1, which is the sun, you have 0, which is Scorpio. So it's like, okay, now, what are you going to manifest as a result of this? And then you maybe take an action. Now, granted, this is 11:27 p.m., so some of you guys are probably going to be going to sleep at this point, right? Like I said, these are quincunxes. It's going to be, and it's the moon too. So these are going to be things that kind of just come up a little bit quickly. It's not energy that's going to per se last very long. But like I said, we are building up to quite a few things. We're building up, of course, to the full moon. Lunar eclipse is going to be happening in Taurus, which is going to be a very powerful one, right? It's going to be very positive. I really do think so. We're building up to a Mercury conjunct Mars opposed Jupiter. That's going to be happening over the weekend as well. So we have several things that we are building up to. We are in the days where we're kind of in between those energies. Mercury is not going to quite catch up to Mars today. It's not going to catch up to Mars even on Friday. It's going to be over the weekend, right? And then, of course, you're going to see that moon, we're going to see that full moon, right? And then eventually, once Mercury clicks past Mars, right? Once Mercury surpasses Mars, the moon will actually be in between exactly Jupiter and Uranus at 16 degrees. So we're building up to that. But right now, we're not quite there. So today's going to be a day, like I said, where we continue to take that spiritual inventory, continue to kind of look at our lives and see the things that are working out and appreciate those things, appreciate them, which means to give them more value, right? And also to, ask the universe, ask God, for guidance, ask God and, be like upfront and be real and get detailed about what it is that you want, what is it you want to receive. You got to remember, like, when it comes to like the details in life of Virgo, that's where Venus is. And Venus is all about how we receive love, in many ways. So how do we want to receive? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we want our life to look a certain way, we do have to get a little bit detail oriented as far as like what it is that we want to receive. So like when you're asking, get detailed as much as you can anyways. I know some days it's sort of like, if you do your meditations or your prayers, it can be sort of like you may not necessarily know what you're meditating on or praying for, and then there are other days where it's very clear. You know what I'm saying? So, and like I said, it's also one of those things where it's like, shoot, we want to remain consistent. I want to just give you guys like a quick little like graph as well, just to kind of show what consistency looks like, and to try and not to like, try not to like be too hard on yourself. Like this is what consistency looks like. And this is just like a quick little graph, you know what I'm saying? So it's like this right here. Can you see that? This is what consistency looks like. It's like, if you're going to, let me actually just draw more of like like from day to day, right? Let me just draw like these arrows so you know what it looks like, all right? So this is what consistency looks like. It's not so much like every day you give some effort, right? But some days, as you can see, it's going to be less than others. But you have some days where you're like all in, you're feeling the energy and everything's good. Some days you may be giving a little bit less. Some days you may be giving a little bit more. Some days you may be back on like cloud nine, 100%. Some days you may have, maybe this is what you give. But every single day you give something, right? Every single day you give something. And that is what's important. Not feeling like you have to do your absolute best every single day, but simply showing up. Today is a day of showing up. Yesterday, I will admit, my energy was pretty low. I was very lethargic yesterday because I had a pretty rough night, the night before. And normally when I have those, I recover faster. It took me an entire day to recover. You know what I mean? I think the most I did yesterday, I did 40 push-ups, and I did a little bit of writing. So I still did something, you know what I'm saying? And, that's what I was able to give. Today I definitely feel a lot better and stuff, and, it just is what it is. Sometimes you just go through those moments and you just have to give your best effort. Sometimes your best effort's going to yield 10 points. Sometimes your best effort's going to yield 20 points and stuff. And you got to understand that you are your own worst enemy. You are your own opponent. So it's not, so as I'm saying, like, so long as you give some effort, you're going to come out with some sort of win. You know what I mean? This is about finding those win-wins in life. I think today is going to be a positive day for just, like I said, taking that spiritual stock. And with that moon in Aries, it's definitely going to, it's going to definitely add some spice to this energy, I would say. You know what I'm saying? You have Mars now, it's now dispositing this moon. So it's going to add some spice to it. That moon's going to be getting closer to Chiron. It's going to jump to Chiron tomorrow. I did see that someone was asking about Leo energy and what's in Leo. We don't have anything in Leo right now. So, I mean, we have the ruler of Leo, the sun, over here in Scorpio. It's like squaring Leo. But we don't really have anything in Leo besides whenever the moon comes to that spot. So, we are in fall time. You know what I'm saying? We are fully into the fall time. We're in Scorpio world right now. You know what I'm saying? So, and what's interesting about this too is that, we have so much of this outer energy that was in Scorpio, and now it's like we don't really have anything in Scorpio. We don't really have anything in Sagittarius. You know what I'm saying? Since like the 90s, we had Pluto that was here. We had those major conjunctions with Saturn that was here. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things are kind of moving to, Aquarius and Pisces, and of course, you have Uranus over here in Taurus, right? So it's like we're getting like some fresh, we've done a lot of Scorpio work over the last 30 years, done a lot of Sag work over the last 30-ish years or so, right? 30 plus years. Now the energy it's a little bit fresher. You know what I mean? It's a little bit renewed. And I think, there's a lot of us, some of us, of course, who are born with Pluto and Scorpio or even Pluto and Libra and stuff, where it's like now whenever we get to this spot, it's almost like we don't necessarily know what to do because now the external planets aren't in these signs. So we don't necessarily even know what to do. So I think this is a time where it's like now that we're kind of getting this energy and a little bit more of like of a refreshed sense, you know, we have to look at those things. How are we transforming our relationships? How are we transforming ourselves with this whole, death and rebirth, and how are we actually committing? I find that Scorpio is really about committing to. Libra is kind of like, it's the relationship, it's like the wedding, everything like that. Scorpio is like the committance. It's like till death do us part. Like that's the big thing with Scorpio. Sagittarius, our beliefs and stuff. There's nothing in here now. So that's the thing about this. When it comes to those three, the energy is going to be a little, you have the South Node in Libra, but when it comes, especially Scorpio and Sagittarius, energy is a little bit fresher. So whenever we get to these spots, now it's going to be like, okay, it's almost like a whole new playground that we're kind of like trying to navigate. A whole new realm that we're trying to navigate when it comes to that. And I was like, okay, so what do we do here? You know what I'm saying? So, so like I said, just, try not to, you don't have to push the envelope too much today. Just kind of go with the flow. You've set some things in motion already. So just kind of see where those things go. And, as we continue to move forward, and once we get to this full moon lunar eclipse, I think things are going to start to become a lot clearer. We do get a little bit of a spicy energy with that moon going into Aries. Like I said, making those quincunxes, the awkward share from across the room to the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, which are now in Scorpio. And, actually just appreciate the times where it's a little bit silent, a little bit quiet. Of course, I think it's interesting that as soon as pretty much, let me just go back to when, because this is let me go back to whenever the moon hit. It's kind of crazy because yesterday up in Maine, there were some things that were going on. It was like a mass shooting up in Maine that happened. Like 22 people had died or whatever like that. I think it's interesting that, as soon as the moon came on top of Neptune, that was going on. And, then you have that moon that moved into Aries overnight, so early this morning, that's when the moon came into Aries and stuff. So it's like, it's kind of weird, you see different things like that. So yeah, moon approaching Neptune, then something like that happens. It's like, that's what I was saying. Like, it almost felt like a false sense of security. It's almost like, all right, when's the next big thing gonna happen? I think when you live in a world where you receive news so fast, you can almost sort of become numb to it, but then you almost just sort of expect it when it comes up, and it's almost like, are we just collectively manifesting this stuff? You know what I mean? Are we just collectively manifesting this crazy shit? It's not really surprising that when the moon was approaching Neptune, that some unfortunate person kind of snapped mentally and couldn't handle it and decided to take his rage out and stuff. But I also want, and the bad conspiratorial part of me is asking myself, well, was he fucking planted there? Is this authentic? Is this true? I think it is, but it's, just prayers, of course, to those families and those people up in Maine, and hopefully they caught the guy. Like I said, I was following it last night, and Maine of all places, like, come on, like, it's just like, you just don't expect it to happen. You know what I mean? So it's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, take time to just appreciate and cherish things that you have, because you never really know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? You never know how someone's going to be responding to these energies. And like I said, a moon approaching Neptune, someone snapped and unfortunately took it out. So, but you know what? When things like that happen, don't be afraid to live life still. You know, I think that's the other part about this. It's like things like this are happening, whatever like that. Don't be afraid to live life, because the fact of the matter is, I mean, if just a straight up Scorpio, Plutonian, like, listen, we're all gonna die. Okay, we're all gonna die. It is what it is. So you can't just be afraid to live your life. Now, don't. I think there's a like, you don't want to necessarily take that and just go into this like lean into sort of like the super extremes of your life and put yourself into situations where like you're drinking a lot and doing a bunch of drugs and shit like that and whatever, you know, you're kind of wrecking your body health wise, or you're getting yourself into weird sketchy situations and shit like that. You know, you don't necessarily want to go into those areas per se, but we're all gonna die. We're all going to ascend out of this plane of existence, right? And you can't be afraid to live life. And I think that's one of the major sort of things that's been kind of happening here over the last 3 years, is that people are afraid to live life. Yeah, either people are afraid to live life or they're leaning like all the way into it. So don't be afraid to live your life. Let's get into the cards. Let's try that again. All right, let's see what we got for today. Yeah, we have the star card. So it's like, this is beautiful. Like, you have, I'm getting like more like angel stuff here. Like, you have guardians, you have angels that are here, that are looking out for you, that are guiding you, that are protecting you, that are letting you know that you are worthy, that you are powerful, that you can make it. And like I said, this card comes after the Tower card. So it's like, this is a time for us to see our worth, to see our value, and to connect with our celestial blueprint, connect with our angels, our guides, and realize that we are being looked after. We are being looked after, right? We have the Five of Cups in reverse here. So yeah, this is no time to cry over spilled milk. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. That's why I call this card is the crying over spilled milk card. And even so, he still has 2 cups up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, he had 5. He lost He lost over 50% of what he had. You know what I'm saying? He lost 60%, and it's like, well, sure. Are you going to just continue to cry over that? You still have 2 cups. You still have something there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is not a time to be crying over what hasn't worked or what we may feel like we're having to give up, you know, because there is more that's going to be coming in. So this is like the wish upon a star kind of energy, you know what I'm saying? But actually still put in that work, put in that effort too, you know what I'm saying? Bottom of the deck, we do have the Justice card in reverse. Yeah, we're definitely feeling that things are not in balance right now. There's definitely some injustices in the world. We can be wondering, why in the world do certain things happen? Why in the world do tragedies happen? Why does it feel like certain groups of people, you know, get the shaft and other groups of people just seem to have all the good things happen to them? But that's just what we perceive, you know what I'm saying? There is a silver lining to this energy, right? And we can, you know, once you connect to your soul, connect to your spirit, connect to your guides, your angels, your ancestors, you know, they're going to help you navigate this. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to do this all alone. I think that's the big lesson of this sort of energy, is that you don't have to do this all alone. You know what I mean? You're strong, you're very powerful and stuff, but you don't have to do this all alone, and you shouldn't be expected to do this all alone. So that is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you would like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful Thursday. I will see you guys on the next astrology forecast. Peace.